Okay, so hello, I've got Luke Ralph with us today from Brighton Rocks. Now, we normally start these interviews by asking Luke, what it is that you do and why you do it, but I already know that you kind of stumbled into what you're doing by accident. So explain that whilst you're telling us what it is that you do.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. I was studying at university. I was part of the football team. I became the social secretary for the football team, and they asked me to do an event to fundraise money for the club. I did my first event. It made a lot of money, and I thought that was relatively easy. Gave it another go on my own. Made a bit of money again, and then all of a sudden I had a lot of different venues and promoters all message me, and I figured that my English degree, I could sort of put that on hold and have a career in events, which is the route I decided to go down.
How long ago was that?
That was about 10 years ago now.
10 years ago. So did the English degree ever get finished?
I finished the English degree, but I mean, apart from event write-ups and a few sort of press releases and stuff, I haven't actually utilised it yet or needed to.
That's really interesting. So tell us, what is it that you really enjoy about what you do?
So I think it's the buzz and the thrill of a successful event. You know, some of the festivals we work on for a whole year, and it is hard work. It's a bit of a grind. You know, waking up every morning, checking sales, knowing that you need to hit this on a certain day. When the day comes around, and the latest festival we had nearly 20,000 people there. It makes it all worthwhile. You get a thrill and a buzz which I don't think you could get from a 9-to-5 a traditional office job, because you can see the end product. And generally at music festivals, people have such a great time, have great fun. You get loads of amazing feedback. And it's an incredible experience to think that that's what you've been working on all year. So you make these amazing plans after, where you're on such a high and a rush from what you do, and then the reality hits you about a week later of how difficult it was to get to that point and how much hard work went into it. But it's unmatched. I haven't found anything in my professional life or working life that does come close to hosting a successful event as of yet.
And it does come across really clear about your passion for this. And, you know, within the context of how this year has been, which must have been extraordinarily challenging for you, have you found that your passion has dwindled, or are you just more determined and motivated to bounce back?
In all honesty, I've gone through periods and waves. You do start questioning things, and whether you're sort of sitting around for you know a train that's never arrived or coming to the station, or you know, I have questioned whether sticking this out is the right thing to do. Should I be looking at other career options? But you always come back to, it's very hard to get away from. I enjoy it so much. I have a passion for it. It is my whole life. So I think I've looked at ways to sort of pivot and reposition, but not get away from events. Not quite yet. Not until we're told to. It's over. I think there's always going to be a passion from everybody for events. You know, everybody wants to go and have a good time, and I think as long as that remains, and there's a desire from people to head out and have fun, I think there'll be a job for me.
I absolutely agree. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned that yes, you've got passion. There's a lot of work goes into these activities, but you've got a place for learning as well, haven't you, in business? So tell us why learning is so important to you.
So over the last 6 months, I've had a lot more time on my hands. I haven't been working directly on any major projects because they haven't been happening, in all honesty. So I've learned more over the last 6 months than I learned in the previous 10 years. And that's because I've been learning, taking advice. You know, you get into a bubble, or you have blinkers on, where you've seen success in one area, so you continue that route, and nothing else sort of matters, and you don't not necessarily want to hear advice, you just don't think you need it. But the last 6 months I've grown so much in my sort of business knowledge and why I do things, and potential avenues and routes I can take. And I feel when we go back to something that resembles a bit of normality, I'll be all round a much better businessman than I was before. And that's purely learning from others and consuming some of the amazing content that's out there. It might have been ignorance. It was a time issue. I just never felt I had the time before. But I don't think I'll make the mistake of not finding time again. I think I'm going to keep up the networking, keep up the consuming of the material out there that I can find, and I really think I should be able to grow quicker than I was before.
It's really important. We teach our clients to work on their business more and more rather than just in their business.
Yeah.
And so it's really refreshing when we think about how you started your business and the fact that you found yourself doing something because it was making money, that you have found the space to step back and start to think strategically. And really good to hear that going forwards, when things do pick up, you will continue to set that time aside. So there's a lesson in that. So that brings me to my next main sort of final question for you, really. What advice would you have for yourself if you could go back 10 years and have that conversation?
Okay, definitely it would be to not think you've got it all figured out just because you have some immediate success. We were doing very well. I was generating good revenue for myself at the time, but there was no clear plan. There was no clear strategy. I wasn't interested in connecting with other businesses. I completely ignored sort of business strategy. It was all just about, the next pound note, really, where the next revenue came in. And I think it cost me long term. I think I could have progressed my career a lot quicker than I have. But because I was in that situation, that place, I was too ignorant to even realise or know that. And looking back, if I'd known what I do now, I think I could have been even more successful. And the advice I'd give to others or my younger self was, I get told that I'm a humble person, but I think my mindset at the start of my business career was far from humble. It was the opposite. In fact, I thought I knew it all. I just had a clear path to success and wasn't interested in sort of acknowledging or taking on board any advice or looking at the bigger picture. So yeah, and I think now that I recognise and can acknowledge that was a weakness, I'm sort of excited to sort of progress my career and progress my businesses.
Really good to hear, and I love your energy. Luke, it's been fantastic listening to to your experiences and how you put the company up, and also your optimism for the future. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you very much, Gavin. I appreciate it.
Okay,
sit down. Sit down. Sit down. I'm so fucking sick and tired of the Photoshop. Tell me something natural like Afro. Get your